Hey guys, what is up? Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency video, and we are back to covering Ripple XRP. So I have some interesting information for you today. Really quick, Sir Gordon Gekko just shared this, and this is so true. In fact, 80% of crypto Twitter will sell out early. A lot of us are probably going to sell out, in the next few years. And for those of us that actually do hold a portion for the long term, I'm talking, 5-10 years down the road, I think that you'll be making way more money than the people, ahead of you, even if they invested more in the beginning. So that's something to consider. Really quick, so Love for Crypto shared this. Again, this was some bullet points by Stuart XRP, great member of the XRP community, sharing some videos. Obviously, I don't want to show it for copyright purposes, but please check this out at Stuart_XRP. And they're just talking about, ILP, of course. And XRP is the global reserve currency, so it's great to check this out. Just to go over this briefly. So the solid fundamentals and superior technology of XRP as a global reserve currency, and kind of that argument and reasons why it is, best poised as doing this and acting as this function as a digital asset, especially as we are moving towards a more so tokenized economy. Right here, production payment network operating seamlessly for 4 years, which is pretty good in a newer technological space. Zero forks. We don't have to worry about any of that. Zero reverse transactions. We're not worrying about a lot of those proof of work projects and their way of providing and reaching consensus. Dedicated product and engineering resources funded by the XRP sales. Global banking partners with production deployments. XRP incentives for market makers to maintain tight spreads, which is essential. And I think that we are, honestly, the technology and everything, if you see that, quote, plans within plans has never been more true. And that's why I'm, just a madman when it comes to XRP. And there's a lot of smart people in this community that wholeheartedly agree the more you look down this rabbit hole. And distribution by a registered and reputable MSB. So there's plenty of things, so definitely check this video out. And I just, want to recommend and emphasize that you guys have to do more than just watch YouTube. Do more than just scroll through Twitter. If you really want to understand everything and, feel comfortable in your investment, do some research. There's plenty of websites, there's plenty of government documents and industrial documents as well with all of their partners. Right here, XRP Neo, and this is just, I want to briefly touch this. I know we've already covered this for the most part with this Facebook coin nonsense. So I don't think it's a threat to XRP whatsoever. I think it's going to help push regulations, as Neo's saying. A company with 2.3 billion users worldwide will release their coin. Facebook is in every country in the world unless it's banned. Governments have to pay attention. Global regulations are coming. And another thing that CZ Binance released, regarding all of those new laws in India, that's a third of the world's population. Regulations are already here and they're on the way each and every day. So exciting times. It's further validating all of this as, reputable technology that is going to propel the world of financial technology. And along with, all these other sectors, private and public, that we've already covered in the past with supply chain management, I think, even medical records, auditing, everything. It's going to simplify everything, and you have to look at the big picture. You can try to get granular, but at this, point in time on this timeline, we are so early. The projects, if you are actually investing here to make money like myself, if you're looking at legitimate blockchains that are going to be having applications built upon them and utilizing the digital asset, I think you're going to be grateful. So this is just another avenue of investing, especially as the stock market bubble is, more so was at an all-time high. I think we're going to see a massive retracement. But I think there's a lot of economic factors that are go along with this. And this world is so fragile. It's a miracle that everything works together as well as it does. And at the end of the day, I, believe people are inherently good and we have a big future ahead of us. And briefly on this, of course, the Task Network Gateway, I just want to emphasize that we still have Ripple and XRP, but also just showing QNT as well. So again, guys, we can have multiple cryptocurrencies working together. It's not always a competition. There is so much value in the world that needs to be transferred, and there's different purposes and utility for each asset. So I know that we, in the XRP community, it's almost like a cult. Same with, Bitcoin maximalists. But there's a use case for almost every digital asset. Granted, there are some that can do everything. I think that, each and every company will have their own needs that are, specific to them and their own reasons to do so, which is completely fine. We can all have preferences. So I think that, Ethereum, Cardano, ADA, ADA, a lot of these projects are still going to succeed. But again, they could also fail, and there's going to be new and up-and-coming projects coming, just like Hedera Hashgraph, which is not blockchain whatsoever. It's a newer technology. So there's a lot of things and a lot of learning that everybody's doing during this boom in this bubble, and we are growing quickly. So we're going to have to move, see the trends, and act upon them and manage that risk. Right here, I really like this, and I'm just going to kind of skim over this. So I am Legion, and he just shared this conversation, to help him understand more so, API and the messaging standards and how everything fits together. So hopefully this font isn't too big. So you need the API. Interledger works with a number of messaging standards. So we got the ISO 222, and it doesn't have to be that necessarily. So this is what they're kind of using as an analogy. Think of Ripple as the network. The API allows you to connect to the network. The message, ISO 20022, runs on that network and is a communication between banks, between a bank and a banking system such as Temenos and Bank B, CGI. All right, so ISO standard isn't anything physical. You can't connect to it. It's just a set of guidelines or standards that you use when designing something to allow interoperability. As long as the ones you want to connect with follow the same standard, they can communicate. So I just appreciate that. That was kind of good to see. I think we need a lot more analogies to understand this type of technology if you don't have this background. And then right here, but institutions are now faced with the fact of either implementing ISO 20022 on a traditional system or move to a private blockchain altogether, which would be a lot more radical, but another option and probably the next logical step. And that's going to be expensive. And as you can see, we are looking at documents recently back to 5 years ago, and you're seeing that they're already talking about distributed ledger technology. So you guys have to recognize these trends. If you're here to make money, I'm telling you, XRP long term is going to be one of the most reliable returns on investment. Some of you are going to other coins that pump 5x and you're happy about it, but I've lost a lot of money in the past too, and my biggest concern is not my return on investment, it's return of investment. As an investor, it's my duty to make sure that I at least break even and get that money back in some way. So I just want to emphasize that. Please just don't see this as internet gambling with made up, fairy dust money, because this is much bigger than that. And this is a real technology that a lot of people do not understand yet. And by the time they do, it's going to be too late. Right here, digital asset investors just talking about this. The stage is set, and I really like, this document that he shows. So it's the U.S. household net worth as a percent of GDP, and we're seeing all the bubbles. So we got the .com bubble, 450% at peak. We have the housing bubble at 486% peak. Now we have the QE and ZERP bubble at 535% currently. That is scary. And for those of you that don't know, ZERP, it's zero interest rate policy. And then we have QE, which is quantitative easing. So really, zero interest rate policies, like a macroeconomic concept describing conditions with low nominal interest rates. It's considered to be, an instrument that's kind of unconventional in monetary policy, and it can be associated with slow economic growth, deflation, and deleverage. Now, QE, quantitative easing, is more so known as large-scale asset purchases. It's a monetary policy where a central bank buys predetermined amounts of government bonds or other financial assets in order to inject money directly into the economy. Now, it's very unconventional. It's usually used when inflation is low or negative. And guys, it can become ineffective very, very quickly. So these central banks are buying specified amounts of these financial assets from commercial banks or other FIs, financial institutions, raising the prices of those assets and lowering their yield. And this also simultaneously is lowering short-term interest rates, which increases the money supply. So this is different than a lot of things, and I think that we are going to see a big pop, let's just say the least. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And each time, look, it's even lower than before. So it's a new low here, at least for this. But again, It's going to drop. I don't care where it goes, but it's dropping. And that is why I'm diversifying into digital assets, because that is where the trend is going. Even if we are in a bear market for a few more years, which I don't think is going to happen, but worst case, it's going to skyrocket versus the traditional markets. All right, so not financial advice, but that is my advice, and I think it's pretty sound. Let me know down below. And again, right here, XRP Darren, screenshot floating around that says the 10th, which is today, June 10th, doesn't mean a high price for XRP necessarily. Ripple is ISO 222 compliant, but they can't just start sending XRP until it's allowed. When it's allowed, ISO 222, the plumbing is already laid. So again, we are already set with various corridors, with various messaging standards. And I think that on the back end, with all the lobbying that we've heard in the past too, about those people getting paid in XRP, the people up top know what's going on. And this has been known for a long, long time. If you doubt me, look at these government documents. There are links everywhere. So please just check these out. All right? So again, guys, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video around with anybody that, wants to better understand the back end of XRP and why it is, positioned best as a global reserve currency. And even not that, it will bridge and act as, a bridge of value between fiat. Really appreciate it, guys. And until next time.